Hello my little lovebirds, TonyaTko here, and I just finished watching the last and final, the third presidential debate, 2008, between John McCain and Barack Obama. And I remember I put up that video after the last debate, and I was like, I'm fatigued of politics pimps and politics as usual, etc., etc. And it just reminds me of when I was running track. And it's like, when you get to the final stretch, it doesn't matter how fatigued you are, you have to pull yourself back in the race and realize what is at stake. And I was watching the debate tonight, and something dawned on me when it was brought up. And we had a really good moderator tonight because he talked about a lot of, or he asked a lot of good questions that got both of the candidates to talking, and he put them on the spot. And the question of Roe versus Wade came up. Actually, Roe versus Wade didn't come up, but it did come up, but it came up after the moderator asked about the Supreme Court submission, or the Supreme Court appointing by the next president. And I realized when they started talking about the Supreme Court and they started talking about Roe versus Wade, I realized that this next president is going to be the one that appoints the next Supreme Court justice. And what some of you out there may not know, or maybe you forgot, but I'm going to remind you that your seat on the Supreme Court is for life. For life. So you either die or you retire. And so most people keep these positions for all of their lives. And right now we have, there are 9 Supreme Court justices, and 7 of those 9 are Republican. Now, since you stay on the Supreme Court for life, some of your ideologies or can change over time. Oh, you know what? Let me backtrack. They're not Republican. 7 of those 9 were appointed by Republican presidents. So, your ideologies can change over time. And right now, we're pretty lucky, but we're hanging in the balance because 2 of the 7, even though they were appointed by Republicans, they vote somewhat, they vote a little more liberally than the average conservative, right? And let me tell you what this election means to the average person. Now, we live in America, but what we don't realize is that the Supreme Court is the, I have to do more research on the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court is the law of the land. They're the ones who have the right to overturn any law that we have, anything on the books, right, according to what I know about the Supreme Court, right? But anyway, my point of the video is to let all of you guys know out there that though we live in America, our laws are not set in stone. They're written on paper, and they can be overturned. And we know that McCain is very conservative, and we know about his views on abortion and his views on right to life or pro-choice. And if you listen to him throughout this debate, he started saying things like pro-abortion, which were really enraging me. Because pro-choice does not mean pro-abortion. Abortion is horrible. We all know that. We know that abortion is horrible. Nobody supports abortion. Nobody supports the killing of a fetus, however you want to put it. Nobody supports that. What people support is the right to a woman's choice. That it is her right to choose what she does with her fetus, with her body. And we may not, and that's how Roe versus Wade, this is how it got passed in the first place, because it's not pro-abortion, it is pro-choice, pro that woman who is carrying that child and who will have to take care of that child, that it is her choice to make. Now, the next president that we have, because right now there are 2 people on the Supreme Court that want to retire. One of them is like 88 years old, and this person is hanging on because we have a Republican president right now, and they do not want to retire because they do not want Bush to appoint the next Supreme Court justice. So this 88-year-old person is hanging on. Even though they want to retire, they're staying in the Supreme Court, waiting and hoping for the next Democratic president to be able to appoint a Democratic Supreme Court justice. Now, what does this mean to you? What does it mean to me, right? I'm an American. Most of you out there who are watching this video are Americans. And we know that if there's one thing that we stand for here in America, it's freedom. It's freedom. And these people want to make it illegal for a woman or a girl to make the choice for herself of whether or not she decides whether or not she does not want to continue full term with a pregnancy that she got in any number of ways. And I think that that is wrong. Think about what I'm saying. Illegal. Illegal in all 50 states and all U.S. parishes and territories for a woman or a girl to receive an abortion. Think about what that means for you overall. And you know what? I do not want to hear from any pro-life people talking about adoption right now. If you are over the age of 25 and you are pro-life and you have not adopted a child, I don't want you to comment on this video. I want to hear from pro-lifers and pro-choicers about this. But I'm sick and tired of that old rhetoric about, oh, just adopt. Do you know how many people are in the foster care system here in America that are unadopted, that grow too old to be adopted? How many people are in the foster care system now abused? John McCain had the nerve to say, just bring them into this world and we'll take care of them. Homie, you got one child that you went over to India to get. The problem is larger than one child. We need every pro-lifer out there to go adopt 5 children. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about whether or not we should want us to live in a country where our laws and our rights are up in the balance. And I'm telling you that all of you need to go out there and you need to vote. Everybody who is 18 or over, you need to go out there and vote. Because you know what? You may not be for a particular candidate, but like my girl Mokanista says, if you don't want to vote for a candidate, make sure that you vote against a candidate. And John McCain is worth voting against. Think about it. Think about it. You may not, I may not, none of us may not ever want to have an abortion. But it should not be illegal for a 15-year-old girl who was raped by her uncle, carrying his seed inside her, to have to give birth to that baby. It should not be illegal for a 15-year-old girl who was molested, or someone who was taken advantage of, or somebody whose condom broke, and they are not physically able to give birth to a child. It should not be illegal for them to get an abortion. And you know how Sarah Palin feels, even if the mother was raped, if she was 13 and she was walking up the alley and someone hit her over the head and raped her, she should be forced to have that child, and that it should be illegal in these here United States of America. Something like that? No, 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 not at all. I need you guys to give me your comments. I don't want any of those. And you know what? Pro-lifers, pro-choicers are really funny. Pro-death penalty, but anti-abortion. I don't want to hear it tonight. I want to hear from people who can contribute to what they know about the Supreme Court and what you're going to do with your vote. And I want to hear about things like that. I don't want to get into an argument about whether or not it's right. I'm sorry, I'm just still upset about this, thinking that something like this, after all of this time that we fought for our rights, that something like this is hanging in the balance, and this can't be. Anyway, leave me your comments. TonyaTko here. And I'm out. Subscribe today. Be sure to leave a comment and rate my video now. TonyaTko.com. Peace. You know what? I forgot to say one thing. And I just wanted to add that, you know what? We may not agree with a woman's right We may not agree with a woman's reason for why she wants to terminate her pregnancy, but I think that we can all agree that we don't want to live in a world where anybody, any woman who is adamantly against giving birth, we don't want to live in a world where a woman who does not want to carry that pregnancy inside of her, that she is forced to go full term. I don't want to live in a world where, you know what, some of you have read Freakonomics, and they attribute the decrease in crime to the passing of Roe versus Wade, saying that statistically speaking that the average woman who uses the abortive services are the same women, the women who did not want to give birth before, that were they said that the reason why women don't want to give birth is because they can't afford to take care of the baby. They are on drugs and they are afraid for the child's safety. They and a plethora of reasons. They don't know the father. The father's not involved. They don't want to have the baby inside of them. They never wanted to be a mother, and all of these other reasons. Do you want to live in a world where people are forced to give birth to children who they did not want here in the first place? Do you want to walk around out there with more children who were never wanted by their parents? I mean, we have a situation out there right now with children who were raised up out there whose parents never loved them, whose parents abused them. And these are parents who decided to go full term. I would hate to think and imagine and wonder what type of world we would live in if we are amongst a plethora of children whose mothers didn't want them to begin with and were forced to have them. I'm sorry. We may not be pro-abortion, but I think we all can agree that it should be pro-choice. It should be that woman's choice. She shouldn't be forced, illegal. Do you know what's going to happen? Where are people going to go to get their abortions? They're going to go down to Mexico then? Because women are still not going to want to give birth to these children. What's going to happen? They're going to get out the hangers. They're going to go to some vaginal chop shop down in Mexico, trying to fly out the country, heading over to illegal abortion clinics. Come on, think, people, think. Do you think making it illegal is going to stop people from doing it? I'm out of here. TonyaTko.com. Peace.
Subscribe today. Be sure to leave a comment. Rate it now.